The day that humanity discovered faster-than-light communication was one that would be remembered for ages. It started with a team of researchers at the Kepler Institute who had been experimenting with quantum entanglement for communication purposes. After years of painstaking work, they finally succeeded in creating a pair of entangled particles that could transmit information instantaneously, regardless of the distance between them. When the team announced their breakthrough to the world, there was a mixture of shock, elation, and skepticism. But when other research institutes verified the results, the reality finally sunk in. Humanity could now communicate across the cosmos in real time. No longer were they confined to the speed of light. The potential impacts of this discovery were immense. It would allow humanity to coordinate exploration and colonization efforts across multiple star systems simultaneously. Trading information and goods would also become instantaneous. And for the first time, travel outside our solar system did not mean saying goodbye forever. But more immediately, this new quantum communication allowed humanity to listen into the cosmos like never before. Using the new technology, massive arrays of entangled particle receivers were set up across the solar system beyond the interference of planets and moons. For the first time, we could listen to the stars themselves, rather than just the light that reached us years after it was emitted. It was a turbulent time as humanity argued over which celestial bodies should be the priority for the first faster-than-light live listen. In the end, a global vote was held, and the sun was chosen as the first target. When the recording began, it sounded unlike anything humanity had heard before. Gone were the static-filled electromagnetic transmissions from orbital telescopes. Instead, humanity could hear for the first time the raw, booming roar of the fusion reactions powering our parent star. The sound was all-encompassing. You could feel it resonating in your chest. Many who heard it were moved to tears. We were no longer just observing the sun from afar, but listening to its very heart. After days of listening enthralled to the sun, other priorities took over. The various planets and moons of the solar system were the next targets. From the raging dust storms of Mars to the haunting crackles of lightning storms on Jupiter, humanity was captivated by the symphony of sounds permeating our stellar neighborhood. Next, the nearby stars were tuned into one by one. Their emissions were far more muted than the sun, but each had its own unique signature based on variables like mass, temperature, and magnetism. Analyzing these cosmic sounds led to breakthroughs in scientists' understanding of stellar evolution and the nature of matter itself. But amidst all the momentous discoveries, another question loomed: what might be out there listening back? Humanity knew it was only a matter of time before their communicative emissions reached other civilizations buried within the noise of the cosmos. Most hoped any discovery of life beyond Earth would be friendly and welcoming, but there were also fears that humanity may get more than it bargained for when transmitting its presence across the galaxy. These fears were amplified when, 3 months after the breakthrough, a signal was received that left the world stunned at transmission in a completely alien frequency and modulation, clearly artificial in origin. The signal originated from a star system 100 light-years from Earth, meaning whatever sent it had technology at least on par with humanity's own. Panic and speculation spread like wildfire as the world's experts scrambled to analyze the mysterious signal. Its complex and highly efficient modulation pointed to it being a deliberate attempt to make contact, but the message itself was completely indecipherable, with no discernible patterns or meaning. After weeks of intensive study failed to elucidate anything from the signal, a reply was broadcast back to the source system. It contained basic information about humanity, along with an invitation to converse. But no acknowledgement ever arrived. Whatever civilization had sent the original message either did not receive humanity's reply or chose not to respond. Then, precisely 100 years after the first signal was received, a second transmission came in, this time containing a message humanity could understand. It said simply, "People of Earth, we have studied your civilization from afar and determined you have reached a sufficient level of technological advancement. An expeditionary task force has been dispatched to your solar system and will arrive in approximately 100 Earth years. We look forward to meeting your species upon our arrival." Though brief, the message spoke volumes. Someone, something, had been watching humanity for who knew how long and had plans for Earth. While seemingly benign, the vagueness around motives and details was troubling. And the century-long wait before their arrival hinted at technology far beyond humanity's own. In the wake of the message, old nationalistic differences were set aside and humanity made joint preparations to meet the visitors. A unified Earth Defense Force was established and tasked with rapidly advancing human technology in all areas: propulsion, weapons, artificial intelligence, energy manipulation, and more. New exotic metals were synthesized to build incredibly resilient hulls. Warp drives were developed, allowing ships to cross interstellar distances. Laser weapons could boil kilometer-wide asteroids, and nanite swarms could consume entire planets. No one knew what horrors awaited in the void, but humanity would be ready. When the 100-year mark approached, Earth dispatched its completed fleet to meet the visitors at the edge of the solar system as a show of strength. From surveying their communications, humanity had learned surprisingly little. Only that the visitors referred to themselves as the Harvesters, a moniker that inspired nightmares. As the rendezvous date arrived, billions watched with bated breath for first contact. Massive alien starships dropped out of FTL at the system's edge, dwarfing the Terran fleet many times over. Communications were tense, with both sides reluctant to fully divulge capabilities or motives. Eventually, an agreement was reached for only 2 small envoy craft to continue on towards Earth, 1 from each fleet. But when the alien vessel entered near space, it suddenly split into thousands of smaller craft that swarmed towards Earth's defenses, weapons charged. The ensuing battle was short but violent. Humanity's defenses were woefully inadequate, and losses were staggering. But eventually, EMP bursts disabled the swarm ships, and they were wiped out by salvos of hypervelocity missiles. A cheer rang out across the solar system, only to die abruptly in throats the grievous losses suffered would take generations to rebuild from. And it was now obvious that the aliens had not come in peace. Larger invasion forces would inevitably follow. Once again, humanity had its back to the wall, facing annihilation. In the aftermath, massive new shipyards were constructed around gas giants, and terraforming efforts commenced, turning planets and moons into refueling stations. Even partially constructed ships were pressed into service for point defense. Then, 5 years after the first attack, they returned thousands upon thousands of Harvester warships, blotting out the stars. Battle was again joined, and raged for weeks on a scale beyond comprehension. Outpost planets were stripped to the bedrock for resources. Entire gas giant moons were fractured and detonated as gigantic shrapnel bombs. Casualties numbered in the billions. But against all odds, humanity held the line just barely. The deciding factor came from an unlikely source. Unbeknownst to the Harvesters, in the decades prior, humanity had perfected the technique of capturing and redirecting asteroids. When the alien fleet was clustered around the Jovian planets, EDF commanders gave the word. Thousands of directed asteroids accelerated to a significant fraction of light speed, smashed into the Harvester ships before they realized what was happening. The aliens had no counter to such primitive yet devastating weapons. When the dust cleared, their threat was neutralized, but at grave cost. Much of the solar system was now a post-apocalyptic wasteland. However, humanity had survived its trial by fire, largely thanks to cooperation and innovation. And the Harvester technology windfall would launch us into a new golden era. We would venture out to the stars with newfound wisdom, ready to fight if needed, but hoping for the best. Humanity was scarred, but unbroken. Now, with steadfastness and faith in each other, the true hard work began, spearheading an alliance of free species to prepare for the threats lurking in the infinite dark. Our future would not be easy, but for the first time it was truly our own to shape.